I made this board about 4.5 years ago, both of them. One of them is long grain cutting board and the other one is end grain cutting board. And to be honest, 4 years ago I just started with woodworking. I didn't know much about cutting boards. Actually, I didn't know much about woodworking at all. And these were an experience with my design to get a weave pattern. And both of them were given as wedding presents. And I was asked to renew this board after it was in storage in warehouse for 2 years. There was some mold happening over here. It's a good opportunity to review this board and to see my mistakes that I did 4 years ago. So let's start with sanding the board. So the mold is quite deeper than what I thought. It's really inside the wood, more than just the upper surface. And I want to keep it leveled, so I'll do it a bit more. Well, there's no point in trying to hide it. As you can see very clear, there are gaps all over. And the reason for that is that this is long grain to long grain, and over here you have end grain small squares. The maple and the cherry is long grain, and the walnut is end grain. Reason is that it's really hard to make this kind of small piece while maintaining it long grain facing up. And this is almost impossible to do. So what happened, the contraction and expansion of the wood while seasoning between summer and winter is going inside and out all together. But these ones, the small ones, are changing in a different way, trying to find a room around it. Since it's trapped, it tends in cracks and splits, as you can see all over the board. So even if I'll fill the gaps, in 4 or 5 years it will be back again. So this board won't be useful as a cutting board, but more as a tray for serving and such. Well, I removed most of the mold from here, looking better. I'll give it one more round. Moving on to the end grain cutting board, same pattern but end grain this time. You can see all the rings. You can see the rings very clear. There is no mistake here. All of the pieces are end grain facing up, even though it's also 4.5 years and was used intensively as cutting board. There's no gaps. Looks much better than the other one. The only gaps that I have here is the ones that I had from the beginning because I couldn't glue it up firmly enough. But still it looks much better than the other one. Let's give it a sand. Now all the knife scratches are removed, but now I have all the small little rings, ponytails of the eccentric sander, and I need to remove it. A small tip for when sanding an end grain cutting board: if you'll pour some water, a very small amount of water, on the board, it would raise all the grain up and it would be much easier to sand it after. Also, it will give you a clue about how the board will look after the final finish. It will add the natural color.